the story I'm telling is the business that was hostilely acquired, like hostile takeover, yeah, basically, which was like a really sad moment for myself, turned out to be the best decision I ever made in life.
Welcome back to another episode of Andrew Asks How Podcast. Here with me, I have a friend of the show, but also a very big fan of his. Pix, probably the most notorious thread writer in the industry, I think. It's past threads, to be honest. You've done a lot of research outside of the industry as well, but I think people most notoriously known you for literally the weekly viral write-ups that you do every single week. Pix, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm good, man. Such a good intro as well, you know. Gonna send it to my mom.
You send it to your mom. We can get the soundbite, maybe quotate, put it a little bit on the fridge. But no, we appreciate you jumping on. This is your first podcast, so we are very excited to be taking the first one away from you. And then maybe you go on others. Maybe don't, but we appreciate you sitting down with us for literally the very first one. I almost feel like Joe Rogan when Elon did his very first one with him. So I feel kind of the same way. So it's very exciting for us. Pix, a lot of people have, a lot of questions for you. Man, I'm sure your DMs are absolutely blasted. How has your life changed, man, from literally writing nothing to now writing weekly things, monthly things, daily things that get millions of views per post, man, per post?
I mean, honestly, I still have the the imposter syndrome, like quite heavily. Honestly, like I have been writing on Twitter on X, for 2 years now. And the first year, it was kind of slow. I had to rely on other people retweeting my stuff so that it actually gets some views. And I still kind of have this at the back of my mind, even though I don't need it anymore. So I don't know, man. Like it's been quite a journey. Like I moved to Canada a year ago, and I was at about 8 to 10K followers. And like 1 year from then, like I'm now at 50 something K followers, and like it's insane growth to me, insane amount of views as well. But deep inside of me, I feel like nothing changed. Like I still do the same things I did before.
Yeah. Because I didn't know you moved to Canada. Are you in Toronto?
I wish, man. I wish. I don't want to disclose where I am, honestly.
No worries.
Because like I received just one too many death threats.
Already? That's early too. That's early for you too. That's crazy.
It's not because I shield anything. It's just like I did a few threads like Zach XBT style. Not even like Zach XBT. Like he does it way, way better, but like just similar way. I exposed a few people who, scammed a lot of other people with NFTs. And honestly, they were not happy with that. So I received quite a lot of hate for it.
Yeah, you also got some recent lashback from the Kobe thread, which I don't know why. Literally last week, today's November 21st on record when we're recording this, but you had gotten, I guess, lashback from even Kobe at the beginning. Then after you came warm to Pix, what happened, man? What happened?
I mean, this happens quite frequently when I do a thread about the character of the week. The person who is really like popular this specific week. Like one of the first threads I did in the style of this is whoever someone is was Anthem. It was the most hate I got in one day. People were calling me names and slurs and everything. So then I did one about Murad as well. And the same thing happened. And then about Kobe. But, Anthem, I think he also didn't like this thread.
Why?
Murad, I don't know. Like, man, I really don't know. Probably because I think it was like the really bad timing. Because at the time, people were creating coins with his family, with his dogs.
Right. That's right.
And then I obviously did a thread about him. So people took some photos from it as well. So that's why probably. Murad, it's just like, he's a bit controversial in this space because of his price targets.
Yes.
And Kobe, I guess, like a lot of people who are OGs in the space, they kind of have a really, really high opinion of Kobe, and like they have their vision of who Kobe is. And probably the way I described him in a thread wasn't like how they saw it. I don't know. I always try to be as neutral as possible. I try to cover everything that happened, like all the big moments. And so I don't know, man.
How do you maintain, I guess, the neutrality of writing the threads, and how do you, I guess, not include any prior bias? Because it's so easy to write a thread and accidentally, subconsciously, maybe write something that not even is not even negative, but they could perceive to be negative because maybe it's inaccurate, maybe it's skewed, maybe it's second source information, it's not first source or even third source. It's a tweet about someone that you thought says I'm incredible and it turned out not to be credible. How do you maintain the neutrality? Like, what's kind of your I guess, your filtering process?
I mean, when I do a research about a person, I usually read everything there is online about the person. So I listen to all the podcasts, I read most of their tweets, or at least like the viral ones.
Yeah.
I see what other people say about them on the timeline so that I have like the full picture. Like, we as people, as humans, usually tend to say better things about ourselves and tend to view ourselves like as flawless in a way. So I try to get someone else's opinion as well on different people. But generally, like if there's like any second hand source, I try to verify with the person I'm writing about. They don't respond most of the time to my DMs. But like when they do, I just try to verify it with them. I don't modify thread in any way. Just want to get the info from them so that it's accurate. So that's kind of
what are your most viral clips up to date, do you think? Is it the Nelk Boys? Is it Murad? Which ones are your most viral, I guess, in terms of like impressions, retweet, likes, like across the board?
Yeah, it's definitely Nelk Boys, yeah.
Why do you think it did the most numbers?
So the most viral definitely is Nelk Boys. It's like 11 or 12 million views.
Wow.
And the next one is like maybe 5 or so. So it's like at least double from the next one. Honestly, I feel like what they promised was quite a lot for NFTs.
Yep.
And they themselves are really popular. So that's probably why it got so many views, because people knew them from before. People know them from watching now. So it's like a household name. So that's why probably it went viral in a way. But also like probably the research, because like I brought up to date things, like things that haven't been updated since like 1 or 2 years ago. Like what actually have been done and all of those. So that's probably why. And it got shared quite a lot. So that's why.
You broke into, I think, regular CT, to be honest. You definitely broke into regular CT.
For sure.
Yeah, 12 million. It's not crypto Twitter. Probably crypto Twitter is probably maybe 1/4. I think of that. To be fair,
at most, man. At most.
Yeah, at most. At most. Have you ever been tempted to start writing threads about like generalized people, like maybe Elon Musk, maybe the president of El Salvador? Like, have you ever been tempted to write these threads and like kind of maybe shift the focus off of the industry itself and their characters?
No, man, not really. I feel like I'm really focused on Web3, and that's what I know. That's what I have been doing full time for at least 4 years now.
Wow.
So, I don't really want to write about anyone. I don't want to write about like hack to a girl or anything like this.
Yeah.
I mean, unless she like rocks a huge Memecoin, maybe that. Yeah. But like, I only write about people who have some connection to crypto, either past projects or current projects. Or like, for instance, when celebrity meta was going on, like in the spring or thing,
yes,
a lot of celebrities had the background of rugging a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I did a lot of threads on celebrities to kind of expose it as well, so that people don't lose more money.
Yep.
On whatever they launch now. So that was the reason why I wrote a lot of threads about celebrities. But then I kind of shifted my focus towards more native Web3 people, like Web3 founders, people who are just natively in Web3, like Franklin's board, who kind of is not Web3 anymore.
Yeah.
He's just like engagement baiting.
Off the rails a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know if there's more to whatever he's doing, but like he used to be big on NFTs. Yeah,
he's a very fascinating one because he's completely gone the other side. Like he's just removed himself everything from crypto NFTs, and he's just I think he's kind of most of his tweets are just kind of baiting. I think he's stuck in a really tough place because he's involved in political stuff, and I know a lot of people that have gotten into that space, and let me tell you, it's a very, very dark hole. And like they're so involved that their mind is consumed about politics 24/7 and the show of politics. Just to be clear, there's a separation in policy and politics. Policy is the thing that gets done. That's why politics were put in place. But politics ended up being the WWE and has some factors of that for the show of things.
Yeah.
So kind of, I guess, intruded on the policy creation. And that's, I think, where Franklin's kind of stuck. And if you scroll like political Twitter, it's insane. It's 10 times, if not more, than crypto Twitter in terms of the aggressive nature of people. It's a very dark place. Like I am all for being involved in politics if that's your thing, no problem. But when it gets to a point with anything in life, to be honest, at least in my perspective, when the thing you're into is no longer revolving around you and you are revolving around it, it becomes a very interesting place that some people find themselves and sometimes never actually get out, and it's very unfortunate. Because I'm curious, man, has anybody ever written a thread about you? Like, have we flipped the script on you and people start writing threads about pigs?
I think someone tried to do it before, but it's not that much info about me. Like, I haven't done any podcasts. I did one Spaces a really, really while ago, and I haven't shared much about my life on timeline as well. Like I shared a few stories. I mean, like I talked about my life to a lot of people on calls, but like it never kind of, I never posted anything on the timeline. So that's why it's probably not there, at least yet.
I have another interesting question. This one's a little bit off topic, but I have to ask because it's everywhere. The Memecoin thing, I guess the Memecoin mania. What's your take on it? Like, do you think here to stay, here to go? Is it a phase? Is it not a phase? Are you getting involved personally? Do you not care for it? Are you muting people if they mention meme coins? Like, where do you stand on all this?
I'm definitely not muting people. I write about meme coins now. But I mean, like, I understand meme coins because like it's an attention game.
Yeah.
Right. All the things I've been doing for the past 2 years is also attention based. And before that, I also had media businesses. So I understand the attention game really well. So meme coins is just that. Like meme coins are basically, they don't have any intrinsic value, right? All their value comes from, how socially, how influential they are, or just how popular they are, right? But I also think that a lot of people who think that meme coins are going to be the meta, like the only meta for this bull run, they're wrong. Like a lot of people are missing, for instance, on decentralized science, like DeSci.
Yeah, DeSci.
It's one of the, I wouldn't say it's a new thing. It has been here like for at least a year now. But like both CZ, like Vitalik, Brian Armstrong from Coinbase, everyone supports this thing. Like, and they think that it's going to change the narrative and the blockchain and all of those things. And I feel like this is one of the narratives that's going to be in place sometime in the future. So I still believe that there's going to be an alt season. I still believe that there's going to be different metas changing. Obviously, meme coins are going to be sort of like NFTs at the time. Like last bull market, we had NFTs going on for the whole duration of the bull market, basically. And NFTs weren't the meta. Like there was a lot of metas going on at the time. Like different coins were pumping, like GameFi, all of those. And NFTs were still there while it was happening. So I believe maybe we will see that meme coins are going to be the hot thing that people are going to trade frequently throughout the whole bull market. Or it's definitely going to be like different metas. Like we have seen with AI now. And AI is a meta in itself. And like part of this meta is in meme coins. So I feel like those metas are going to be influencing some new coins that are launching like as meme coins as well. So
yeah, there's even people, and you know them, I know them. They kind of get involved in every meta, and they don't really pick one. They just kind of hop, and some of them have success in every single one
Mhm.
because they're skilled. And then some people on the reverse get involved in every single one and they have no success in every single one. Where do you stand on like joining metas? I know you're very in touch with the space. You have a massive pulse on it. You're literally as they would say in the trenches every day. Do you just join any meta? Like, do you partake in the metas that kind of come and go, or are you selective with the ones that you partake in? And if you're, I feel like you're selective, but I'll let you kind of air your thoughts and why. If you're selective, why are you selective?
I am selective just with one thing. I don't like racist stuff because I
Yeah.
feel like blockchain is transparent, right? And
Yeah.
sooner or later, you're gonna get exposed for those kind of things.
Yes.
So I don't
Yeah.
buy any racial or any other way offensive tokens.
Yeah.
Um, but other than that, I'm pretty much in every meta. The only thing I do before I join the meta is I see if it's sort of verified in a way. When you trade, you want before the breakout happens, you want to see that actual breakout like goes down, right, or goes up. You want to see like the verification in a way that like it's the narrative change, the trend changes.
Yep.
So I usually might be joining a bit too late, but usually when I see some things popping off, I don't join it right away. I wait for it to be verified in a way, and then I just join it. But I hope on different matters, personally, like as trading. But I feel like they're changing just too quickly right now. It's just like 1 week or 2 week at most.
It's very quick. It's very quick. Because you wrote it's something on my phone right now. You wrote a thread 3 days ago. I sent it in probably about 4 or 5 group chats to be transparent with you. Most recent one that went viral, 2.2 million. John, you probably saw this too. It's very well written. How to actually hold through a 100x. And my favorite part of this, all jokes aside, is if you said, and I quote, you said this literally the second post in the thread. First, understand this: not all 100x are the same. I agree with that. There are 3 key scenarios, and this was the best part of the thread because he broke down the practical, like the 100x's, 100k to 10 million, yes. 1 million to 100 million, yes. And then 10 million to 1 billion. Each has its own unique challenges. Let's break them down. How did you come to the realization that there are 3 of them in 3 separate phases? Is it through experience? Is it just through understanding the space? How did you break that down so well? Because I find this fascinating, Picks, because people are trading meme coins all day, but I've not seen somebody break that down the way that you broke it down. It wasn't like it was like this genius creating lightning moment, but the way you simplified it, I think, was very well done. Very well done. Simplification.
I feel like it's just when you trade a lot and when you have been in crypto for at least half a year, I feel like actively, you'll probably see that different things takes different time to move, right? Like you cannot move the coin from 100 million to 1 billion in like a week. I mean, like unless it's unless it's a goat, I guess. But most of the time, it takes months and months, or sometimes even years, to move the coin to 1 billion. And I feel like different tiers of those need different kind of things, different factors. That's why I wrote it this way. Honestly, I don't know where the idea came from. I just had it in my mind. So I just feel like this is the easy way to understand how. I mean, like for different things out of those 3 scenarios, you need like completely different things to happen. Like for one of those, at least you need like a market maker. Otherwise, it's really like chaos, or at least market maker most of the time. So that's why I broke it down like this. I also purposely didn't include anything below 100k.
Yeah.
Because like it's random. You don't know when the 10k shooter is going to 100k.
Yes. Or going back down after.
Yeah.
You pretty much what you did, as I'm literally kind of reading through it right now, you basically systematize this. Like if this was building a business, you pretty much systematize the entire process of making money off meme coins. Throw the 3 of them: 100k to 10 million, 1 million to 100 million, and then 10 mil to 1 billion. Picks, which one do you think is the most probable to take place? Like if you had to say, not that anybody should go do this, by the way, definitely don't do this, but you had to say, Andrew, go find 10, 100K, go find 10, 1 million, go find 10, 100 million. Which one do you think picks is the most likely to occur? Like my odds, like odds are stacked in Andrew's favor to go put $500 in each and get that 100x.
I mean, odds of happening in general, or you finding the right one?
Yeah,
like
like if I had to say, Andrew, go all in on one of these 100x's, but I can only pick one of them, which one is most probable to happen in my favor? In terms of a numbers game, like just from a safeness perspective, to do this. Like, do I go in 10 coins at 100K? Do I go in 10 at 1? Or do I go in at 10 at 10 mil? Which one do you think is the most likely to occur?
I feel like probably the second way, which is like 1 million to 100 million.
Got it.
So this is probably the best one out there. Because honestly, like 1 million is usually the coin that at least has some substance to it.
Yes.
Right? Unless it's like a trendy thing or like a mascot or anything.
Yeah.
Like if it's a meme with staying power, usually 1 million is where most of the coins test the resistance and see like if they actually belong. And if they're above 1 million and they stay there for a long amount of time, they usually a good coin.
And one of the more fascinating things that you did, you also did this real-time experiment, which I'm a fan of. Unfortunately, you lost all the money in this experiment. Biggs, let the people know. I mean, most of them probably already do, but what experiment did you conduct and why did you conduct it?
Yeah, that was the worst 24 hours of my life. Actually, even more. Yeah, so I decided to buy every single meme coin that launches on Pump Fun for the whole day.
Yeah,
like for 24 hours. I mean, like honestly, I used a bit of filters just to filter out like really bad coins, which are like heavily sniped and stuff like this. But I bought, I think, around 2K coins or something like this, 2,000 coins, or pretty much similar to this. It was a lot of coins. I mean, like I did lose a bit of money.
Yep.
I honestly expected to lose maybe closer to like 80 to 90%.
Wow.
So I was surprised that it's much less. I actually have an idea written down on my whiteboard of trying to find the right filters to see if I can make this profitable.
Yes.
But like, I feel like it's going to take at least a few days to try each of those out. And I'm not sure if I want to do that. But maybe I will in the future. I don't know.
It's not a bad idea. You're once again also systematizing this. It's not a bad idea at all. The update on those coins that you lost money in, are they still all down, majority of them, or did some of them kind of pick up and you made money now?
I sold them.
You sold them.
Yeah, I sold them. So one of the parts of the challenges was that I had to sell them exactly like at the end of 24 hours. So like one day from when I started. So if I were to set up a new challenge like this, I would probably go with probably not stop losses, but like take profits.
Yeah.
I will probably put a few of those, maybe like 2x, 5x on each of the coins I buy. Yeah. Because a lot of those coins from when I initially bought it, I think my average entry was like 20 or 30K. A lot of those were up at least like 50% to a couple X. But like by the end of the challenge, they were basically at zero. Like most of the coins ragged, basically. Yeah. So if I would to restart the challenge, I would probably do those things. I haven't checked all of the coins, man. Like there's just like too many of those to see.
I would go back and check them. I would go back and check them only because if some of them had gone a 10x or 20x, it's the game of outsized returns almost to an extent. I'd go back and check them. And I think potentially there's another thread to be written on literally stacking the last one, saying, the challenge was 24-hour time frame. Past that, 3 of those went 300x, and I'm now here with nothing. I think that'd go absolutely viral. And you can even make it a satire post saying, hold your bags, keep the dust, don't lose it. Because of the past like 2-3 days, I've seen a lot of posts from a lot of guys that we know that are posting things like, I should just held the dust of this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have seen a bunch of those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Believe in something.
Yeah, it's funny. Believe in something. It's funny that how that works out. Pix, I want to read you something. John, aka Jamie, if we can pull this up on screen for Pix to follow along. Pix, it's a little bit long here. Um, I hope I don't make any mistakes on this, but I think it's important. I want to get your thoughts on this because you seem like a guy who works obviously tremendously hard and harder than most people. And I'm reading this because it's something that I relate with. Maybe you do as well. And I personally have experienced this, and I'm still experiencing this. And I think it's one of my larger flaws, to be transparent. And people that are close to me know that this is an issue in my life. And I'll read this. John, is it pulled up on screen? I'm looking at the screen right now.
Yeah, Pix. I put it on my screen share. Is that legible for you?
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So I'll go through this. So this is written by Chris Williamson. Chris is also a podcaster. Chris is probably one of my favorite guys in the space right now. He goes, "Don't grip life so tightly. Being too serious creates a kind of brittle fragility, which a playful attitude insulates you against. Your goal is dynamic persistence over long term. Taking things too seriously gives you a huge advantage in bursts, but chronic seriousness makes you rigid and a risk of a blow up. What would this be like if it was 10% more enjoyable?" Matthew McConaughey quoted this: "Make sense of humor your default emotion. Don't be so worried about winning that you forget about what winning is supposed to feel like. Is your preceding feeling, your precedent feeling when feeling things go well, one of the happiness and satisfaction, or one of relief? Is it joy, or is it simply abatement of fear? After a while of winning, you realize that the how you win is more important than if you win. How you feel during the event is more important than the outcome of the event. How the people who read your work, in your case, Pixley, read your work, are impacted and more important than how they are impacted and how you are impacted. Do not be so terrified of failing that even the act of winning is made so miserable. Ultimately, you are doing things not to say you have done them, but for the experience of having done them. When you look back, it's experience itself, not just the outcome that matters. One of the big determining factors how you feel, how you feel with the outcome, but it's not everything. Oddly enough, optimizing for how you feel detaches you from the caring about the outcomes, but it's the very thing that drives outcomes the most. And if it doesn't, well, you care, you're enjoying it. Emotional pain is a hell of a teacher, but it won't kill you. Will life be easier if you feel everything so deeply? Perhaps, but the only reason you're getting the outcomes that you want is because your depth of thought. As bad as it feels, that is the breadth of human existence. You are alive. Your inner landscape is a fascinating world to explore. Act with curiosity. What you're doing right now is a hypothesis to be tested, not an ideology to be proved. Is your goal to survive, thrive, or flourish? You are doing this for you. After a certain level of material comfort, the only person you need to do this for is you. Your conscience knows when you're being honest and when you're not. Optimize to make him happy, or her in that case. Be the person your mom thinks you are. Be the person your younger self wanted as a role model. Brave, courageous, earnest, honest, virtuous, flaming." And then the quote goes, and that's how we measure out our reality, or our real respect for people, by the degree of feeling they can register the voltage of life they can carry and tolerate and enjoy. End of sermon. As Buddha says, live like a mighty river. As the old Greeks said, live as though all your ancestors living through you again. Pix, what are your thoughts on that?
Man, I love it. I honestly feel like I kind of live the way it describes here. I don't take things too seriously. Sometimes I do, honestly, like I'm a human after all, but I usually tend to be on the chiller side. Like I have been, okay, so one of the things that happened to me, it was quite funny when looked at in retrospective. So what happened is after the last bull market, I made a lot of money flipping NFTs, just being in the space. And I decided it was time to cash out at least some of it. Sorry, not cash out, stable it. Basically went into stables. And I discovered like Anchor Protocol, which was on Terra Luna. Yeah. Like the 20% yield, nothing is suspicious. Yeah. So I put a big chunk of my stable coins in there. And I spent about like maybe 3 or 4 months, like money was working there. And then I started reading a bit about how the Terra Luna operates and what happened to it a year ago when it sort of detached from the UST detached from the peg. And I was like, that doesn't sound right. And I decided, like, okay, fuck it. I'll just I'll withdraw it and probably put it somewhere a bit more safe. And I withdrew all of my funds. I bridged it to Solana, like USDC. And it was 1 or 2 weeks before Terra Luna collapsed. And I was like, oh shit, no way. I just survived it. I was like, oh wow. But what happened next is about half of those funds I sent from my Phantom wallet to FTX. Because like FTX had really nice passive yield on whatever money you had on the balance.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, like let's farm it. It's good, good yield. And, like there is no fee to withdraw the funds from FTX. Like it's a huge exchange. What could happen, right? And then obviously things started to unfold. And I haven't been writing on Twitter at the time, but I was still on Twitter just reading stuff. And I saw that, like things are looking weird. And I'm like, man, I don't know. Probably I should withdraw it from FTX. So I withdrew some funds, like 10% of it first. Transaction took maybe like an hour or so, which was odd at the time. Like it usually took like maybe 10 minutes. I was like, okay, fuck it. I'll just withdraw everything else. And then I withdrew 90% of my funds, and it took about 6 or 7 hours to do that. But once it hit my ledger, I was like, phew, that feels good. And the funny thing, at the same day, just a few hours later, they closed the withdrawals. So I was lucky enough again. I was like, man, no way. It was this close, right? It was
the
this
simulation's
close.
protecting you. The simulation's on your side.
Yeah, and I'm like, man, no way. I just escaped 2 of the biggest things that took down so many people in crypto.
In crypto history.
Yeah.
In crypto
and I'm
history.
Like,
yeah.
Oh, wow. And just as I was thinking I'm safe, there was a lot of NFTs minting still at the time.
Yeah.
And I was DJing a bit. I was minting and flipping some of those still. And Phantom Wallet removed the feature that was like auto approve. I don't know if you remember those. It would just auto approve when you click mint. And so I started searching for other wallets. I found a Slope wallet, which was like a relatively new wallet, but it was fairly popular. And they still had this feature of auto approve. I didn't think much of it. I just downloaded it on my phone, downloaded it as an extension to Chrome. I went on and put my seed phrase from the Phantom wallet. I obviously created then the new like sub wallet in it to mint stuff so I don't get rugged like the burner.
Yeah.
And what happened is a few months later, their wallet got hacked. And it's such a random thing to lose money on. And I'm like, man, what the fuck?
You went through all of that to just have
to just lose the money in the most stupid hack. And the fact is, it was actually like really, really dumb the way the hack occurred. Like they stored the seed phrases, or rather the private keys, like without any security, without any like decoding and stuff. It was so random. It was so dumb. And I'm like, bro. I remember I wake up in the morning. I got like 10 missed calls from my friend, and I'm like calling back like, hey, what happened? He's like, yo man, like Solana is being hacked, Phantom is being hacked, because like no one knew what was happening at the time.
Yeah.
And people were like, even Solana, like the coin moved down in price because of it. It's like there was so much FUD, so much things going on the timeline, people trying to figure out. First it was Solana, then it was Phantom, and then people narrowed it down to Slope Wallet.
Yep.
And I remember like I saw this transaction like in my feed, like that I lost. I don't want to share it, but like it was a huge amount of money. And I'm like, man, what the fuck? But yet I felt like I didn't feel any sort of regrets or any sort of like bad emotional feeling for a long time. Like I just had like this subtle I mean obviously I was a bit sad, but I wasn't like frustrated. I wasn't like that's sad of life stuff like this. I was sad, but like I was okay. I just went on and I went on to go like take a walk and got some coffee. So I try not to take my life too serious. I know everything will pass, right? Like, which is a popular saying, I guess. So I understand that, all of the views I get right now, they might end soon. I don't know when. There's definitely going to be a peak at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe it was already. I don't know. Right. So I tend to be a bit chill about this, and I just tend to live it this way.
How did you escaped two of the biggest, literally, financial crises in crypto history, and then that didn't take you out. And the one that took you out was actually the one that was a fault on the actual product itself, not because you were incompetent and made a wrong decision, which is insane. I'm gonna ask because if it was me, I'd be looking for a silver lining and I'd try to find grace in that situation. Was there any silver lining for you at that point in time that you thought about, or now even hindsight, was there any silver lining in that? And how did you find grace in the situation? Because I'm thinking through this right now. I'm like, if this happens to 10 people or even 100 people, I guarantee you, out of the 10, let's say 8 people leave crypto. I don't think they come back. How did you find grace? How did you find the silver lining, even if it's in hindsight right now?
I honestly don't know, man. I don't have any answer to
It's just a bad situation. Andrew, there's nothing there, man. Pix, there has to be something, man. I think even in the worst situations, and we've all had our fair share, there has to be something. I'm a firm believer that in life, it's all about trade-offs. And sometimes you trade something to get something. I think there has to be, it can sound cliche, I think there has to be a positive thing out of everything, even if it's just an inch or a grasp of hope. There has to be something. Even looking back, there's nothing there, man.
I mean, this wallet hack probably not. I mean, like, I knew I had to store stuff on cold storage. I would say it's like
so you learned.
That's a lesson, I guess. I mean, I can tell you another story which has a silver lining. Wait,
Pix, hold on. Before we get into the story, have you published that story, the one you just told me, publicly?
I think maybe 1.5 years ago I mentioned it. I'm not sure.
Have you mentioned? You haven't mentioned it recently?
No, recently, definitely not.
Okay. I have an idea, and we can even catch this on live, and we can air this, whatever. I encourage you, I invite you to write that thread again on yourself, and I guarantee you it goes viral. Now, we can all define what viral means to us, that's fine, but I guarantee you it does viral. I would try to add something at the end in terms of a message or a mission statement or a thing that you want the world to know, but I think you write that again. You have all the attention on you. I think you write that again, the exact same story. Put something at the end that you want the world to know about you, about the brands you're working with, whatever. And I think you engineer the silver lining on purpose. There's and you can do it or you can not do it. It's entirely up to you. Obviously, don't be extractive, but I think there's an opportunity for it. I want to get to your story, but I'll say this thing first, and it might help you. I've kind of gotten to this point in my life where I have this frame now. This frame of life, this reframe, I've tweeted this too a couple times before. If anything shitty ever happens to me, I reframe it as, Andrew, this thing happened. Let's accept it. But because it happened, what's the best case scenario? Like if this thing happened and in 5 months, 5 years, a decade, 2 decades, whatever the timeline is after, if something happened, then what would make this, that would make this all better? What is it? And then I place that thing in the future and say, if that happens, this is irrelevant. This is a great thing. And then I go pursue the thing that removes this.
I like it. But so you're saying my silver lining here is to write this thread about it?
Yeah. Yes. Write a thread about it and then let the world know about it. And then somehow, I guess, give value in some form of way to the world and let that be the silver lining. Like, let's say it does 10 million, 20 million. It's your biggest thread yet. And you put out a mission, you put out, I don't know, you'll figure it out. Something. I think that in some form of sense is silver lining. Like the biggest, I guess, one of the biggest, catastrophic events in my life caused me to write a thread that then caused me to get XYZ that's impacted my life in domino effect this way. I think it'd be a story for the ages, to be honest. And then Pix, you write a thread about that after, so you double down on the threads.
I think it's an epic story, man. It's
Who knows?
like
Who knows?
movie caliber. Like, link up with Bold Leonidas, get a comic series
We'll
going.
get-
That story's incredible.
We'll get Pix in touch with the Hollywood script writers, and they can publish this
Yes.
for him in years to come. Pix, and I texted you this, and we can hear this out. I said I don't make it in the industry until Pix writes a thread about me. And the podcast, maybe in a decade or maybe in 2 decades, maybe in 10 decades, whatever it is, when you eventually, I think you'll end up writing one in 10 years, 10, 20 years, whatever it is, just include the story in it, please. That's all I ask. Include the conversation in it.
Sounds good.
Selfishly just include it and that's it. But I do want to hear about your other
it.
story though. The one that you found a silver lining in.
Yeah, it's kind of a long one to give the context. But yeah, basically, I discovered crypto almost a decade ago, actually a bit more, in 2013, I guess. I was still a teenager. I got my first sort of decent job. I was doing copywriting stuff for a guy who had like a blog about stock market.
Yep.
And I was just doing some articles for him, nothing that, big. But one month he said like, "Hey, can I pay you in Bitcoin?" And I'm like, "I don't know what that is. Let me see like if I can exchange it like for real money, for fiat." And then I Google like, "Yeah, you can do that." And I'm like, "Okay, sure, you can pay me with that." And he paid me. I kind of forgot about it because it was like on some random Bitcoin wallet. I wish I forgot about it for 10 years. I forgot about it for like a half a year or so. I just saw the news that Bitcoin is pumping. Like it was some sort of bull market, I think, at the time.
Yep.
And I saw my Bitcoin basically doubled. I was like, "Hey, nice."
Nice.
I sold it. Would have been a really, really nice car right now.
And some other things. And some other things.
And some other things. Yeah,
some other things,
probably.
Yeah.
But it was like my first introduction to crypto. I never, thought about Bitcoin after that again for about like 3 years. And then in 2017, another like bull market craziness going on, ICOs, XRP ripping.
Yeah.
I top blasted fucking XRP, lost everything I made.
Yeah.
It was the dumbest thing I did. I learned my lesson. And I kind of went on with my life, decided like, okay, fuck crypto. I'm definitely not good at it. And I went on to university to study marketing. And probably I was one of the few students who actually decided to do something with whatever they were teaching. I decided to start a few small media companies. I grew them, and then COVID hit. It was 2020, I guess, yeah. And COVID hit, and one of the media companies was doing really well. I don't want to share the numbers, but it was going well. And I had a few competitors, obviously, in the niche. And one of the guys said, like, "Hey, I will either run you down out of business. Like, I can do this
just like that.
for
I told you that.
the
just
cheapest."
Like wow.
Yeah, you're like, I can be as cheap as I want for a long, amount of time. And you definitely won't survive this. Or I can acquire your company for like a discounted price. Basically, it was like a hostile acquisition.
Yeah.
And I was obviously really sad, but like I understood that it was the logical thing to do.
Yep.
Like I personally wanted to show him, no, you can't do this. But like I understood that like it's a dumb move. It would be an emotional move. So I just sold the company to the guy. And I was in Europe at the time. And the guy was from another European country. I think it was like Netherlands or Germany. I think it was Netherlands. And it was just much easier to transfer money with crypto, with stable coins. So he paid me for the company stable coins, and I didn't know what to do with myself at the time. So I just invested it all, like split it half and half into Ethereum and Bitcoin.
Was this before the flash crash of crypto during COVID, or was this after the flash crash?
It was after.
Okay.
Somewhere after, I would say.
Okay.
I know that I remember that I bought Bitcoin when it was 10K or maybe like 11K. So I don't know, was it after or before? It was like 10K. It was already...
Yeah.
It was still low, but
because that year was the biggest rip of all time. I think it went to what 10K to 60 or something.
Yeah,
that year was the
basically
biggest rip of all time. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, like it was a really bad moment for myself because like I was building this company, I put a lot of time into it, but at the same time, it was so random that the guy decided to pay in stable coins, and I still had enough money after taxes to like put it into crypto, just and forget about it. Um, Basically, I didn't know what to do with myself at the time, so like I didn't have any other business idea, and the COVID was happening. I was like, "Fuck, I don't even know if it's like it's a good time to build anything." So I just went on to studying university. I went on to work in a startup. Um, Basically, the startup was actually really fun as well. It was not a really small one. It was a mid-size. They raised a few million, and what they do is they have like autonomous driving robots, like on US campuses and UK as well, like white like boxes robots on six wheels driving across the.
I've seen those.
Yeah, it's called Starship Technologies.
Yeah,
it's co-founded by founder of Skype, I guess. I don't know if many people know what Skype is. It's like a Zoom before Zoom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a really fun time as well. But I was in Europe, and most of the operations were happening in US. So I had to work a lot during the nighttime. And there was a few hours when Europe was already asleep and US kind of didn't wake up yet. So I had this a few hours to myself. And what happened is I saw that my crypto pumped like 2x, basically. I was like, hey, oh shit, let me, point my attention to it. And I started researching crypto again. I first started with DeFi, like PancakeSwap was trending at the time.
That's right.
DeFi. And then also I sort of stumbled on NBA Top Shot early on. It was like their second or third ever pack released. I bought it. And obviously I flipped it and I was like, holy shit, you can buy short videos of basketball moments and you can flip them for profit.
Yes.
And I kind of, stumbled into this and I decided like, hey, let me see if this NFT thing can lead to something bigger. NBA Top Shot started producing much like a higher quantity of moments and like a higher frequency of drops as well. And I knew this wouldn't last too long. So I started researching other NFTs. It was mostly like foundation kind of stuff, just like artists doing like limited edition NFTs. And I tried to flip those. I'm not really good at understanding the art, like digital artists and stuff. So it wasn't really good. But one thing led to another. I stayed in NFTs. I quit my job to go full-time crypto. And basically, the story I'm telling is the business that was hostily
takeover.
Acquired, like hostile takeover, basically, which was like a really sad moment for myself. Turned out to be the best decision I ever made in life. Right?
Life pivot. Yeah.
Like basically, like if I wouldn't to sell the business, I would have never returned to crypto, or maybe like I would, but like in a really long time, maybe like now, buying all-time highs, being the exit liquidity. So it's those things, you never know what's going to happen in the future. So I totally agree with you.
I think in certain aspects of life, like your story, like the second one, things happen where you get lucky, where like the pivot and then the story after, like the best moments happen at the fall of something else. But I also think to an extent you can actually engineer the best moments after a shitty thing. I think there's a mix of when both of those can be done and can't be done. But it's interesting how in hindsight, everything kind of unfolds and you can only connect the dots. Moving backwards, Pix, I'm not sure if you saw this, but Gensler just stepped down
Nice.
50 minutes ago. Nice. That's the first response we get. Nice. He's been doing his thing for the past little while, affecting the industry. And I think people, he tweeted this at 1 o'clock. It's already got 1.8 million views. I think this runs up to about 20 or 30 by a couple weeks. John, let's pull it up on the screen as well. Not for Pix, but just during the interview process. Pix, what do you predict is next for Gensler, man? I'll give my stupid prediction of the day. I think in about 6 months to 8 months, when this entire thing blows off with Gensler, I think there's a world in where he gets involved in a crypto product or he even starts his own.
Like they have those, a lot of lawyers who go into like political kind of arena. They work like for the government. They then launch their own like private thing
Against them,
and like as contractors.
Yes. Yes.
Maybe something like this.
The villain
I don't know.
turns the hero. I think it's a story to unfold, but what do you think? You think it's possible?
I mean, it could be.
Yeah.
I don't know if he has any interest in it, honestly, but like if he
does.
does, probably
He does.
Okay, then yeah.
He
I
was.
don't know much about Gensler though.
I thought you
so-
wrote a thread about him already.
No. Maybe I should, but like
You need to now. Oh, there you go. It's another one. You need to now. There's if you write this thread, and I think you should within a week. There's actually footage of him on YouTube and on Twitter. You can
the
advanced
lecture,
search find
right?
this. You got it. There's multiple of them. You got it.
the lecture thing, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I remember.
From 2014 to 2017, he was teaching, I think, at MIT about crypto.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, probably like if you
And-
read this,
And Pix, he applied for Binance. He applied to work at Binance I'm serious. He applied to work at Binance in 2017, 2018, 2019, one of those 3 years. When CZ was still there, he applied to work for Binance and they turned down his application. And then he became the chairman and then he went after Binance.
Or that's like, I don't want to say Hitler, but like it's a similar way.
Yeah, it's a hit list.
Rejected from our school.
Yeah, it's the
Rejected from
girl.
Binance.
It's the girl who turns you down. You go date her sister after
Yeah.
or something or whatever. Right?
Yeah. Man.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see how it goes. Maybe he launches his own FTX.
That'd be so funny. That'd be funny. He launches his own pump fund. That'd be kind of interesting. But I do.
I mean, I would buy it.
I would too.
Just for the memes.
I think he does. I think he does start. In all seriousness, I think he does start something. I think the simulation is going to simulate, and I think he does. Interesting how that kind of works out. Pix, we're about 3 minutes to the hour mark. Man, is there anything you want to let the people know?
I honestly don't have anything, man. As I've said, like I still have a huge imposter syndrome. I don't know if people find me interesting in any way. So
They do.
I don't have any.
Me too.
Yeah.
Let's we'll ask this. Our industry has, I think, the most creators, in my opinion, out of the industry that are starving to make it. And I think that are most, like, with all due respect, every industry has their own creators. I think ours has the most creators that go unpaid. So I think the separation between paid creators and not paid creators, the mic almost fell there, in our industry is the biggest ever, or the gap is the widest compared to other industries. Pix, you're obviously making it as a creator full time, so congrats to you. What is your advice? Maybe 3 things, 4 things, 1 thing, 2 thing, whatever, that you would say to creators on how to do this thing part-time, full-time, but at least get rewarded for their efforts?
I mean, it's okay. So one of the things you have to understand is the basics of everything, of all social media, which is every social media platform, they're a business, right? And most of them make money from, I mean, like selling your data, obviously, but also like advertisements, right? And to have more money from advertisements, they need more people to stay on their platform. And the way they do it is they feed them the content, right? So you have to make the content the way the person stays the most on the platform. For instance, for threads, obviously, like it's a long form. And if you make the person read the whole thing, they spend like a couple of minutes on it, you're going to get rewarded. That's why threads are usually going viral, right? If they're good, right? So, for instance, for threads specifically, I can give you a really specific advice. One of the things I use are mid hooks during the thread. Like, let's say you're on the 3rd or 4th tweet, but here is what's really interesting, or like, but here is where everything changes. So you're like hooked again to continue reading. That this is one of the things I use, and that's a lot of YouTubers use those kind of things in their videos as well, or they even go as far as they have a hook in the title, they deliver on the hook right away, and then they rehook you on something else. So you have to understand the basics of the game and then adapt your content to it. And as to the part of getting paid, you kind of have to understand that every business, everything around you, the best way to deal and do business with people is to provide first, give value first. Like if you give the value first without any expectations, for instance, like for me, it was DGods. I had created a shit ton of content around DGods.
Yep.
People hate on Frank, but Frank actually retweeted me a shit ton when I was doing content about DGods. And I gained a lot of my initial audience from it. And I continued doing the threads. I continued to put a lot of research, sometimes even probably too much research into some of the pieces. But you have to give, and then you will receive for it as well. Same goes with, there's a lot of people who are like either marketing for a lot of different projects, or there's like agencies like, AP Collective, Reach. There's like a bunch of those, right?
Yeah.
If you help those people out without anything you want in return, they will definitely help you out as well. Like we're as humans are like programmed to helping the people who help us in a way. Yes. At least unless you're like a psychopath, I guess. Yep. But like I would say, like, yeah, if you want to work for some specific brand, create content around that brand. Like there's a few people who create stuff. For instance, with Blast, right?
Yes.
There were different creators with Blast.
Jen, Legendary Stats.
Yeah. So if, like Jen, for instance, right? She created content around Blast for a long time. And she did a really great job with videos on covering all things Blast. She became that Blast creator. And the Blast, I think they hired her, right? So she worked for Blast, or she at least worked for Blast. And same things are going to happen for different projects, or like, for instance, like Abstract is coming soon, right? I can see there is already a lot of people who would try to be the Abstract creator, or like KOL.
Yes.
So you just have to see those things. You have to deliver on them. Like please don't expect, like, if you just do like 10 threads and like don't expect something in return. Just keep on pushing. It might take you months. It might take you a few months, maybe even a year before you get noticed. But like the more work you put in, the more people will notice you. So that's the alpha.
Because I have one last question. Most creators in the space, they're always chasing the money in it. And believe me, I have nothing wrong with making money. I think you should. If you can make more money legally, I think you're entitled to, and I think you should strive for it. But it seems like that is the only thing that they're after, is making money. And don't get me wrong, there are other benefactors of having a brand, of creating content, money being one of them, sometimes being the biggest factor, which is great. If you not have no other business or whatever, I get it. Situation's different. It's nuanced, I understand. Why do you think creators in the space, Pix, are really hyper-focused on just making money, and like the other benefactors of creating content, which you've named some, I've had some, I've experienced them, I've put some out there, others that are better than me have as well. Why do you think it's just hyper-focused on money, though?
I would say probably because the whole space is hyper-focused on the money, right? It's hyper-financialized, right? Everything they do, every meme is a pump fund now, right?
Yes.
It only makes sense that people focus on the money, especially when you see a lot of people posting about their wins all the time, and you're like, fuck, I don't make enough money. You compare yourself to the other people, and you're kind of fixating on this kind of thing. So that's why. But it's actually a funny thing. I have a Google sheet for myself, title like, shit, I don't remember what its title is, but like it's like my dignity or something like that. And it's just every time I reject a Memecoin and the money they wanted to give me to promote, I write it down.
Wow.
And the number is close to 6 figures now.
Wow.
So I could have made 6 figures just by promoting memes, but I don't. So.
Wow. No, I've never heard someone do that. That's Pix. Will you ever post a screenshot of it one day? You can eliminate the brand names. Will you ever post a screenshot one day of that, or no?
I mean, maybe once it reaches some significant amount of money.
I'll hold you to it. Maybe we'll get lucky. Pix, we're over the hour mark, man. I appreciate you coming on. I don't want to take too much time from you today. We appreciate you. The space appreciates you, man. Keep up the good work. I literally read all your threads. Whenever I read them, I literally send them in a couple of group chats. So it's constant me shilling you off your content. It's some of it's very, very well written. I actually appreciate your stuff. That's that's not so much focused on like figures, but like the how-to sort of things, like the systematize of meme coins. It's very good stuff.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. Means a lot.
We can wrap this up, guys. If you like this, be sure to share this as well. It's probably go on YouTube at some point as well. Thanks for tuning in, as always. Bye-bye for now.